at ddicad.com, or feel free to call me as well, and I'll also have that up at the end again. But today we're going to be looking at Composer, SolidWorks Composer here, and I've got a little webinar prepared called Composing Technical Documentation and Adding a New Dimension to Your Technical Communications. So let's jump into this and take a look and see what we got. So basically, just a brief overview of kind of what I wanted to go over today was I have a little a case study introduction, just to bring some background into Composer and kind of highlight some real companies here. And then for those of you who don't know or don't have Composer yet, kind of what is Composer, what it can be used for, and then we'll look at a brief workflow of kind of what most people do now in the industry, and then kind of what Composer can help you shorten that too. We'll check out Composer in action. I'll kind of show you some of the features, the general user interface, a couple of the outputs, stuff like that, and then we'll take a look at some of the benefits that you guys can get from using Composer. So the first thing I want to look at was this case study I found on this company called Allman Brothers Incorporated, and they actually make some construction equipment like compact loader backhoes, light stands, trailer mounted aero boards, industrial heaters, things of that nature. So what they had as a challenge was they wanted to accelerate their product parts manual development to eliminate a backlog of required changes and make their parts manuals more current and up to date. So what they did for their solution was they implemented SolidWorks Composer to automate this development of their technical documentation and communications. And then at the end, we'll go over basically the results that they saw from implementing Composer and some of the improvements they made in their process. So for those of you who don't know, I assume you're interested in Composer if you're here, want to learn a little bit more, maybe you already have it, want to see some things about it. So SolidWorks Composer, you can create enriched content to clearly communicate your technical information is basically in a nutshell what it is. It's a communication tool that works directly with SolidWorks. It's associative, and you can reuse your SolidWorks 3D CAD data, so whatever you change in SolidWorks will come through to Composer and update there. It's also designed to be used for CAD and non-CAD users, so you don't need a license of SolidWorks to use Composer on that specific computer. What you see is what you get experience, so what you see on the screen is what your outputs essentially are, is what they mean by that. You can visually communicate your products and your process, and you can get customers to better understand your product. So you can see below one of the examples of the Allman light stand that I was just talking about in the case study, and then on the right, you can see one of their outputs that they made from Composer in a PDF format with kind of an exploded assembly view with some balloons and a bomb on there. So what can Composer be used for? It can create technical illustrations, graphics, animations, all kinds of 3D interactive content for things such as marketing, product manuals, parts list, training material, assembly instructions, operations instructions, manufacturing, all those types of things can be easily created with Composer and so much more. So this is the general workflow that most people in industry kind of use, and I can speak from experience that I've been a part of this workflow, and I can understand if you guys are using this that it is quite painful at times. So basically what most people do is they take their product design, they design it, then they do an image capture, then they do an image modification in some format such as Adobe, Photoshop, something like that, and then they do some kind of publishing arrangement and then an output, right? So what Composer is designed to do, I kind of already gave it away there, was basically shorten that process and cut out some of that image modification and constant retaking of images of your product once it's designed or built even. So the end goal of that is that you can stay connected, you can start earlier, you can streamline your process. You allow more time to create higher quality documents, and your updates are significantly more efficient by changing things in CAD and then back updating into Composer. So the main thing to take away of this is you're going to save a lot of time and a lot of money by using this tool. And this is one of the kind of the workflows I wanted to outline for some of you guys who are interested in it or have used it in the past. So basically, you can import your 3D CAD geometry from SolidWorks into Composer, import and update it. Then you would go ahead and author your content, which basically entails making your, your manuals, your bombs, your exploded views, your high resolution images, those types of things in Composer itself. Then outputting some kind of publishing document, such as a PDF, a Microsoft Office document with images embedded in it, a raster graphics or vector graphics, or even an HTML that's interactive with Internet Explorer. And you can also use the Composer player to show some of this stuff. So that's kind of where the end user experience comes in. Using that Composer player that comes with this, you'll have an ActiveX graphic or a standalone product that you can actually show real-time kind of graphic images that go along with this and make everything much easier to understand and demonstrate, especially when it comes to assembly instructions or that types of things. And I'll actually show you an example of that later on in the webinar here. So kind of what I wanted to try and go over today was I have a little visual roadmap of some of the high-level things that I picked out that I think would be, I was hoping would be useful to some new and current users. So I have kind of general high-level things here, like I wanted to show adding and modifying actors, and I'll go over what those are. Creating views and images, creating a simple parts list with like a callouts and a BOM, reviewing some of the outputs that we can look at and how those are created. And then taking a look at that animated service procedure that I just talked about in Composer Player. So with that, let's kind of take a look at Composer and see what we got here. So what I have here, kind of have some of this pre-prepared, and some of it we'll kind of work through here as a little demo. Is this little RC car that's been designed in SolidWorks, of course, imported in here very simply. And for those of you who don't know, I'll just give a little brief kind of overview of the Composer user interface here. So it's kind of similar to SolidWorks, where we have some tabs up here. We have this ribbon up here, which is the ribbon we call, and it provides access to a lot of different functions, features, other tabs up here and things like that. A lot of tools, very similar to kind of SolidWorks. Then we have our different kind of panes over here that you can scroll through. So we have an assembly pane, which kind of shows, let me collapse this a little bit. This shows all your features. This is kind of like your tree in SolidWorks. So this is all your parts and your assemblies, stuff of that nature. Then we have our collaboration tab here, which kind of lists annotations, markups, other enhancements, kind of known as collaborative actors that you could add to the model, like lighting, different environment things, different cameras, stuff like that. Then we have all our views here. So this is where each individual view is controlled, and we can add new views by using some of these icons up here. This one's create view. Once you make a change, you can update view with this little record kind of camera view image. So we have quite a few different views pre-created that I've made in here just to kind of show some of the things. Then we have our viewport here, which is similar to SolidWorks, where you would keep your displays your 3D scene, where you interact with your geometry. Of course, all the parts highlight. So if you click on anything, you come over here to the assembly tree, and you can see that it automatically highlights with what you're selecting in the viewport or in the view pane here. Then we have our properties pane. So this is down here. We have our properties pane. This contains all the properties of each individual thing, item that we would select. So if I selected the body of this, all the properties that relate to that body and that I can control show up in this properties pane down here. Then over here we have our workshops pane. So if we go in here to workshops, if we open up any of these workshops, such as like BOM, we get this workshop pane that shows up, and it has a bunch of features in here that you can utilize in that specific workshop. And I'll kind of show a little bit more in detail of that in just a few minutes here. We also have our timeline pane down here. So you can go in here, this auto collapses very simply, and you can create different animation sequences and things of that nature to show your actual part being used in like an assembly instruction or a method like that. Okay, so let's kind of get started and do a few things in here and see what I can kind of show you. Now, I've already, of course, imported this model and everything, so I'm not going to go through any of that. I'm not going to go through any of the simple things like that. A lot of the commands are the same as SolidWorks, like rotate, pan, different things like that. And you can, of course, customize all that stuff to how you want it to kind of work here. So let's kind of go in here, and what we'll do, what I talked about before was kind of adding and modifying some actors, right? So this is just a really simple kind of thing to show you for when you want to make your images or have any kind of labels or anything like that. Let's go ahead and open this one up, and you can see just by double clicking on this, I can change my kind of views. I can just select through these views by double clicking on them. So in here, I just want to kind of add some labels to this to kind of show you guys how easy it is to put these kind of labels in here. So we'll go up here into our author tab, and we'll just select our label, and I can just hover over each one of these components, and it'll automatically label that component for me. So if I want to label this spoiler, I can drop that here. I can label this wheel, things like that. So I can continue to do that and just add labels to this if I want to output some kind of graphic later or an image for an instruction manual or a marketing demo or some kind of assembly instructions for assemblers that are within my company. So some other things that we can do up here, we can add some, individual markups like this arrow. If we want to add an arrow pointing to this shock, we can kind of drop that in, drag it around. We can customize these arrows very easily. Like I had said before on the properties pane here, you can just select these, what they're called actors. You select it, and you can come over here. You can change the colors. You can change the opacity, all that type of stuff. All these customization things in here. We can drag this out. You can customize these arrow sizes by easily just dragging these around. So lots of customization options. I'm not going to go into every one of those. Some other things that we can do, we can add things like dimensions on here. So if we want to add, let's say we want to add a wheel dimension here, we can kind of drag this around in here and position it how we want it to look in our final image. So we'll kind of drop that 75 millimeter dimension in there. And of course, we can do all kinds of different things with these. We can change the colors. So if we, select these two labels here, we can go ahead over here and we can change the colors of those and the fonts, quite a few different options in here, right? Cool. Okay, so so that was kind of adding and modifying the actors. Another cool thing I kind of want to show was the and you can see once I select off of this image and go to the next one, it automatically asks me if I want to update that image or not. So if I say update, you can see over here in my viewport, my image is now updated with that dimension, the labels, and the arrow, and so forth. So a couple other things I wanted to quickly show were the creating some views and images. So if we go ahead and we want to create like an image within our viewport here, we can go ahead and just say that we want to create this, basically they call it a high resolution image here. So let's go ahead and create this vector detail high resolution image. And how we do that is we would go up here and use one of our workshops and just go into our, it's called the technical illustration workshop. And this one's pretty cool because you can output some like JPEG files and files of those types for dropping into like a Word document or a PDF or something like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll just select, we can select it from our window or we can go up here and select it. Quite a few different ways to do that. Let's see here. So we want to select this rear shock, and you can see when I select it up here, it automatically highlights in the window here. And we want to create a vector detail view of that. So we'll say we have our technical illustration workshop up here, and we'll say we want to create this detail view, and you can see that I get this basically pop up around here. And we'll say create this view. Takes a second or two, and then this view pops up. Very similar to the one that I already have up here of the kind of the engine area. So we can modify these, adjust them, shrink them, lots of options. We can change the how the tooltip shows up, kind of drag that out. Get rid of this here. So you can pull different parts out here and show different assemblies and features like that with these high resolution images, or this technical illustration, I should say. So the next thing I kind of want to do is publish this high resolution image, right? So now that we've kind of got our image defined here, we've got some opacity, some color, we've pulled out a couple components with some tooltips and stuff like that. So we can go ahead and activate this high resolution image workshop. So let's turn that one on, and you can see now my high resolution image workshop kind of shows up here in my workshops tab area. What I want to do, we can change the pixel size in here. So I'll go ahead and say yes, 4000 is the pixel size I wanted that to be, 300. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on this and we'll say we want to do a preview of this. So let's say preview, and it'll automatically generate this pretty cool looking high resolution image that we can then save out into a folder or wherever file location we want, but just by using the save as here, and that'll save out that JPEG for later use for importing into, say, a Word document or something of that nature for an assembly manual or an assembly instructions. So the next thing I kind of wanted to look at was a parts list and how we would go about doing that. So of course you can do this stuff in SolidWorks, but it seems to be much cleaner and easier to create these things in Composer once you import this in. So let's go ahead and take a look at this parts list here. Say update that view, and you can see it changes. So what I've already got here is this exploded kind of image, and I'll clear this out. So we want to use our BOM tab here, and we'll say let's delete these callouts. So we have an exploded image of our a component of this RC car here, and what we kind of wanted to do was just create some callouts. So we can go to our BOM tab over here and just say we want to generate some BOM IDs. So we'll select all our geometry in the viewport here. So we'll select all our geometry and we'll say generate BOM IDs, and you can see that when I do that, I get a bunch of BOM numbers over here, BOM IDs and quantities that go along with those parts. We just want to create some callouts, so we'll say create callouts, and you can see it automatically creates all those callouts for me in my view window here. And then if we want to show and hide we can just turn on our BOM table here. I'll go over here, I already have this one pre-created. And our BOM table automatically shows up with all our descriptions, our BOM numbers, and our quantities here just by a few simple clicks like that. So very simple to create kind of BOM callouts, IDs, and stuff like that. And then what we can do with this is we can publish this to quite a few different formats. So we can do a technical illustration of this. So we can go into our technical illustration workshop and do a high resolution image output of this. And I already have this pre-created, so you can preview and save as, and then it'll create a link for you. So here's basically what we created. We have an interactive document here that can be published to a HTML website, and this is an SVG output scalable vector graphic. So this brought out our exploded view, our BOM callouts, and our BOM callouts and our BOM, and then these all dynamically highlight within our window here. So whatever we select automatically highlights. You can see that whatever I hover over highlights these components. And you can dig deeper into these assemblies by creating separate callouts, SVG outputs of these as well. So every one you click on will open up and it'll give you a larger view and a callout and a BOM that goes along with that. So depending on if you have a large assembly here and then multiple sub-assemblies, you can dig deeper, or you can dig deeper into individual components like I just showed. So that's all very useful stuff as far as some of those outputs that we can create off of here. Some other things that we can do are like assembly type demos, or we can do color changes. So let's take a look at some of those. I've got a little pre-made demo here. So we go into here and we can see our car. Now we're in design mode right now, which enables us to make some changes by moving things around. We can create these buttons. But if we come out over here to our status bar and we turn off this design mode, that puts us in what they call like a demo mode. So that allows us to make some change, to actually make like animations in here. So you can see I can lift my chassis off of here. We can change the colors. We have pre-set up colors in here. We can also link things like service manuals. So if I click here, a service manual of this will automatically populate for me and come up. And I can take a look at that manual. A couple other things we can do that I wanted to show was do the Composer player. So similar to this, we can do an interactive, like a step-by-step assembly in our Composer player. So we have our car here and we have a couple little animation clips shown. So if we do a playthrough, you can see that it basically steps through a procedure to replace these shock assemblies. So you can step through this procedure. It does some exploded views. It's basically showing me, hey, I want to change out these standard shock springs with some other shock springs. So I'll step through that. Gives some assembly and work instructions, removing these components, replacing with these components. Stepping through, shows you how to assemble them, place the other components back on, and then shows the final feature within the RC car. And then the finished product. So quite a few different options there as far as outputs, what you can do with it for assembly instructions, creating bombs, things of that nature. So let's go ahead and jump back into the PowerPoint and look at some of the other things that we showed. So some of the benefits of this, what we looked at here was we did some adding of and modifying the actors, looked at some of the properties. We created some views in different images. We looked at creating a parts list using the BOM workshop and creating some callouts and a BOM on there. We looked at some of the outputs, like the demo mode and then the composer player animations and the animated service procedure as well. So some of the benefits of this using Composer are we can begin the end user documentation early in our design process, opposed to waiting until the design is completely finished and then having to go take those photos, make changes like I had said at the beginning. It's very easy to use. You don't need to be a CAD junkie to use this. You can pretty much step in and kind of make those changes and set up those demos and those different things with just a little bit of practice. We can create some very friendly interactive content for our customers and assemblers, making a very visual kind of demo for them so they can see everything in action. And we can eliminate redrawing illustrations and for any photography needs. So basically, what this is going to do for you guys is going to improve the quality of your product deliverables significantly. So let's go back into that case study that we started at the beginning from Allman Brothers and see what kind of results they said that they were getting from implementing Composer. So they're saying they cut parts manual development time by 50 to 75%. That is a huge time and cost savings. They eliminated their change backlog and brought a lot of their manuals up to date. They improve the quality of their illustrations using some of those tools I showed you, like the high resolution image outputs, the SVG stuff, those types of things. And they automated creation of their animated assembly instructions. So what we just showed with the demo mode and then the Composer player. So I just want to kind of close with a short testimonial from another company, the CEO of 3DMP. And they do a bunch of engines and products like that, specialize in multimedia and audio-visual tools. Jean-Marcel Huder, he said, we can choose a different view of the product as its design progresses and incorporate this content in our documentation. So that's one of the key things here is, choosing that different view as the design progresses, not having to wait till the very end stage to go back and then make your content. You can do the content in parallel with your design is one of the key takeaways I kind of wanted to stress, that Composer brings kind of to the forefront of product development. And with that, I kind of want to thank you guys for attending today. My contact information is up here. If you have any further questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes on the webinar, and you can go ahead and ask me any questions you like right now as well. Thank you guys for attending. Have a good day.